slow it down. Let's take it a bit easier towards the end of the week. And we are just going to order these decimals from smallest to largest. So from smallest to largest, the decimals that are given, order them. And the blocks are just there because you can write them in the blocks, but you can just write them on your page in the order you think they must be. All right, so we're going to do 2 minutes for this. Maybe 2.5. Let's do 2. Okay. And you can start. You've got 2 minutes. Okay, we are halfway. 1 more minute to go. All right, and time is up. Okay, let's see. So post your answers in the chat. Which number is the smallest one? Which of the numbers listed are the smallest one? 2,350. That's right. 2,350. And what comes after that? 2,356. And next, after 2,356, 2,364. And then 2, after that, 364, it's not 2,377. I think it's going to be 2,370. And after 370, it's going to be 2,377. And then we'll have 2,382 and 2,385 and 2,392. So you can give yourself 1 mark for each that's in the right position. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Something out of 8. Or as we always do, however many you attempted. And of those that you attempted, how many did you get right? Okay. Nice. Lots of 8s out of 8s. I wouldn't expect anything less. Well done, everybody. 100%. Excellent. Okay, so that's our mental maths for today. We are going to carry on now, and we are going to start looking at how to write decimals and fractions and percentages, all of those 3 different forms. And just as a little reminder, how do we write decimals? So here we've got 2/10, and if I had to write 2/10 as a decimal, what would it be? Put your answer in the chat. Two-tenths as a decimal mean I have to have a 0, 2, because the 2 goes in the tenths place value. All that stuff we did on Monday with all the place values. And then what about 200ths? 200ths will be 0, 02. That's right. Nice. And then 20/100ths. What would 20/100ths be? Let's not get confused between 200ths and 20/100ths. 20/100ths, everyone's wide awake this afternoon. Well done, is 0,2 as well. Okay, now let's go the other way from decimal to fraction. So if I have 0,6, what is that? How many tenths is that as a fraction? 6/10. That's right. And then 0,06, how many hundredths do I have? What would that be? 600ths. That's right. And then 0,60 will be how many hundredths? 60/100ths. That's right. Okay. So let's do another short round of just matching our decimals to the different representations. So we've got 1,021. There's 4 decimal numbers here. And we've got a place value chart here with question A, or with option A. Then we have B as a mixed fraction, and then C is 1, 1, 2/10, and 1,000. So it written as in words. And then here we've got a 1, 2/10, 300, and 2,000. Okay, so we're gonna match our number. So all of these, which number will it match of the ones that are shown? Yes, Dora Jane, we're going to get to the table now. So if we look at this first one, 1,201, what does it match? Does it match A, B, C, or D? Just this first one, 1,201. Does it match A, B, C, or D? Some are saying C. And I would agree, because we've got 1, 1, 2/10, and then we don't have anything with the hundreds, but we've got 1,000. Okay, so that matches C. And then 1,231, which will it match? A, B, or D, because we've used option C now. So which is next? 1,231. Some people are saying A, some people are saying B. 1, 2, 3, 1. I think that's right. A. I'm going to go with A as well. 2, 3. Be careful. Count the thousands with option D. So we can call this A. And then 1,031. Which one does that match? So we've used that. So it can only be B or D. It's going to be B. That's right. Well done, everyone. And then this leaves us with the last option with D. Must go here. But let's see if that makes sense. So we've got a 1, 2/10, 3 thousandths and 3 hundredths and 2 thousandths. Okay, good. So all of that is going to help us with converting between fractions and percentages. So let's see. I think we've seen now that another way to write a tenth is to say that it's 0,1. So if I have 3 and 3 tenths, then that will be 3,3. And 8 and a fifth, we can say that's the same as 8 and 2 tenths, because a fifth is the same as 2 tenths. And as a decimal, that will be 8,2. So that's looking at tenths. Now, another way to write 100th is 0,01. Before I carry on, just a reminder that you can take a screenshot of this, and or you can write it in your book if you can write fast enough, but you're welcome to take screenshots. So 35 hundredths will be 0,35, 75 hundredths will be 0,75, and 30 hundredths will be 0,30, or we can just write 0,3. So another way to write 0,8 is just 0,80 is just 0,8. So basically the point is we don't have to write that 0 at the end. Okay, if it's not there and we're writing it, it means the same thing. 0,5 is 5 tenths, or 0,5 is 0,50, and 0,50 is the same as 50 hundredths. Okay, so let's now see if we can convert these fractions to decimals and the other way around. Okay, so common fraction is a half. What will that be as a decimal fraction? Put it in the chat. What will that be as a decimal fraction? So first we can think, for those of you, I see some people are saying 2,1 and 1,2. I think there's some misunderstanding. So I want you to listen carefully, okay? We don't go, oh, it's a half, now we're going to make it 1,2. That's not right, okay? So if you're doing it like that, listen carefully and let's make sure you don't make that mistake again. So let's think of a half. How many tenths will there be in a half? How many tenths will be a half? Put it in the chat. How many tenths in a half? Nice. So Sunday, Mika, there's 5 tenths in a half. And if we write 5 tenths, if we look at our little block at the top here, where we were saying how to write decimals, then 5 tenths will be 0,5. So a half is 0,5. Now, what will we get if we have 0,9 and we write that as a fraction? Put your answer in the chat. 0,9, what will that be as a fraction? That's right. There's a 9 in the tenths position when I'm looking at it as a decimal. So that will be 9 tenths. Do you guys see how easy it is? You're just saying basically how many tenths there are, how many hundredths there are, how many thousandths there are. Okay, now what about a fifth? Let's do that same thinking again. If I have to say a fifth, how many tenths would a fifth be? How many tenths in a fifth? There's 2. Nice, Anya. So 2 tenths, how do I write that as a decimal? 2/10 as a decimal is 0,2. Nice. Okay. And let's do 0,25 as a decimal. What will that be as a fraction? $2500s. And now we can also simplify, right? So 2500s, we can simplify. Put your answer in the chat if you are simplifying it down. It's 2500s. Nice. We can simplify it down to a quarter because 25 can go into itself once and into 100 4 times. Okay. I'm going to stay quiet now and I'm going to let you do the second column. If you are not sure, check what we did in the first column or the first 2 columns. And now you're going to do the second columns, the second 2 columns on your own. Don't put anything in. Just work quietly there where you are. We will have question time soon, everybody. Just hold your questions for now. Just do the task at hand, which is to convert the decimals to the fractions and the fractions to the decimals. At about 25-2, we'll check for answers. Don't forget to simplify where possible. Okay, let's see. What can you tell me for the first one? 0,83, what is that as a common fraction? I see lots of people telling me they're done, but they're not. Thanks, Tara Jane. Tara Jane gave us the answer there. That is 83 hundredths. That's right. And 0,75. What is that? And I want a simplified answer. That's 75 hundredths. And what is that? Simplified, Anya, thank you. That's 3/4. 3/4 because 25 can go into 75 3 times and 25 can go into 100 4 times. Okay, 4/5. First, we need to think about how many tenths there will be in 4/5. So how many tenths is 4/5? That's 8 tenths, and that is 0,8. 8 tenths. Nice. Leandre, a few of you who got that. And now 28 hundredths. What is that as a decimal? 0,28. Excellent. And obviously that we're not going to simplify because it's a decimal. All right. So final little bit of practice on this. here where question 2 is. So you have to complete the table. You have the decimal in the top row and the fraction in the bottom row. So you have to convert between the decimal and the fraction. And then there's a last column here for you to choose your own decimal and equivalent fraction. Okay, while everyone is doing that, for the next 3 minutes, I'm going to take some questions. Okay, is it Azize? You can unmute Azize.
Ma'am, I don't understand how you get from 1/5 to 2/10.
Okay, so one way that we can do it, where did I do that one? Oh, here. So we're basically saying if I have a fifth, how many tenths would that be? So 1/5 will be 2 tenths, and one way to figure that out is to say, I can say 5 times 2 gives me 10, and then I can say the same at the top. So some teachers teach what you do at the bottom, you must do at the top. So then you say times by 2, and you get 2 tenths. So that's one way of doing it. The other way is to maybe do a use a fraction wall or a fraction diagram. But that's basically, I think most teachers teach it like that. So your teacher might have shown you that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And we have Mpo. Sorry, I was just showing Azize. Mpo, you can unmute.
Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, I don't understand. How did you get five? I don't understand. How did you get 8/10?
Okay, the same way I just explained to Mimpo. So how many tenths is the same as 4/5? So we can say 5 times 2 gives me 10. So 4 times 2 gives me 8. So that's how I get 8 tenths.
So, ma'am, you also did it to 75/100, or did you do a different one?
Yeah, so for 75/100 or 75 hundredths, we look for the biggest number that can go into 75 and into 100. And what number is that? What's the biggest number that can go into 75 and into 100?
100.
100 can't go into 75, but 25 can go into 75. 25 divided by 75 gives me the 3, and 100 divided by 25 gives me 4.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right, next one, is it unite? Unite, you can unmute.
So, ma'am, like, how do we, is it possible for us to always like add all the time? Like, let's take 4/5. Is it possible to add to get the fraction?
What do you want to add 4/5 to?
Like, is it possible to add a number so that you can get the other fraction so that you can convert to decimals?
Oh no, I don't think you can add, no. You have to think about, okay, so if I have fifths, how do I make tenths from the fifths?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the way that we can do it is to times it by 2, because 5 times 2 gives me tenths. 10. But you can imagine if you have fifths, to get tenths, you're going to divide all your fifths into 2 so that you can get tenths. So that's why we actually multiply by 2.
Oh, I now understand how.
Okay, good. All right, who's next? Asande.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I understand how we change the 75 into 3/4.
Okay, you guys must just listen to each other's questions because that question was asked already. And we look for the biggest number that goes into 75 that also goes into 100. And that number is 25. And that's how we get the 3/4 because we take the 75 divided by 25 gives me 3. And then 100 divided by 25 gives me 4.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Okay. Right, let's quickly see our answers here. So 3/10 are going to be 0,3, and then you could have put your own option, yeah, whichever way you want. Yeah, I didn't say do 3, I just said that you can do 2, question 2, while I took some questions. Right, so we still have to do percentages today, so let's have a look at that. And we're just going to start by saying, if we look at these diagrams, what percentage of the diagram is shaded in? So when we did the previous course on fractions, and we also did percentages, we did a bit of this as well. So this is just to get you thinking again. So first of all, how many blocks are there? Well, we've got 10. 10 rows, 10 columns, so there's 100. So what percentage is shaded? I agree, that's 24 for the first one. Now, this one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what percentage of this one is shaded? If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 10 blocks are shaded, that's the same as Nasimilizwini, that is the same as 60%. Okay, and the purple, how much is shaded? We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 9% is shaded. And let's do the last one. How much is shaded? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Let's see what you say. 75, that's right. Okay. Now let's see, does each representation correctly show the percentage? We can type true or false, or just say if it's true or false in the box here. So 30%, is this diagram correct for the first one? It is true because it is 10 and 3 of the 10 parts are shaded, and if we think of that as a percentage, that is 30%. How about this second one with the purple shading? Is that correct? 63%? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I think this is false. I think, in fact, they've got 73% shaded. And what about this one with the 25%? Is that true or false? 25% shaded? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, that is true. And the last one, is it 46? No, they're missing one block. That is false. Okay, so let's see our little word problem here. Jem and Alex, in question 3, Jem and Alex are playing a computer game. Jem scores 72% and Alex scores 76 out of 100. Who got the highest score and say why? You can just put your answer in the chat and say what your reason for it is. If you say it's Alex, you need to give a reason. Okay, good. So Alex got the highest score because 76 out of 100 is indeed 76%, and that is more than the 72%. Okay. Do we have time for one more? I think we're going to go on to where we have to convert between decimals and percentages. Okay, so how do we do that? We say, for instance, if this fraction is a fifth, now to write it as a decimal, we can do that little bit of thinking about how many tenths is 1/5. And to do that, we can say 5 times 2 is 10. So 1 times 2 is 2. So that's 2 tenths. Once you work with this a lot, you just get to know these things off by heart. So then it is 0,2 as a decimal. Now, what is that as a percentage? Yep. I'm just reading your answers here, guys. And Miss Kat is right. Be careful. This is 2 tenths. Percentage is always out of 100. So at the moment, we've got 2 tenths. So we still have to make a plan to get it to a percentage. Now we are changing our minds to say that it's 20%. Now, how do we work that out? So one way to do it is to just always take the decimal. So if this is 0,2, we can times that by 100. And I'm going to put some extra zeros here to help us. And if we times it by 100, we are going to move that decimal 2 places. And that's going to go to 20,0, and that gives you the percent. So if you want to convert from a decimal to a percentage, you times by 100. The other way that you can do it is to say, if I have 2 tenths, then I know percentage is always over 100. So I can say 2 tenths, is that the same as how many hundreds? So now I'm going to times by 10. So 2 times 10 is 20. So 20 over 100, that's perfect because percentage is always over 100, and that's 20%. All right, let's give the next one a go as well. Let's see if you understood. So 0,25, what is that as a fraction, and what would that be as a percentage? It's already over 100. Perfect. So 25 over 100, 25 hundredths. And what will it be as a percentage? 25%. That's right, because we already have it over 100. So we don't even have to do that extra work. We can just make it a percentage. Right. I do want us to simplify this though to a quarter. Okay, 6 tenths. What will that be as a decimal? And then what will that be as a percentage? Decimals 0.6, and then percentage is 60%. That's nice. Okay, so for those of you who don't understand and are not sure, I'll do that extra bit of working out. So 6/10, I'm going to do it on the side here, 6/10. To get to the percentage, we need to figure out how many tenths are there, how many hundredths are there if I have 6/10. So I go 10 times 10 gives me 100. And then I also have to multiply the 6 by 10, that's 60 hundredths. 60 hundredths is 60%. Alternatively, another way that you can do it is to take the 0.6 and times it by 100, and that will move our comma 2 places to 60%. All right, last one. What is 40% as a fraction? 40% as a fraction is 40 over 100, or 40 hundredths, which is the same as 4 tenths. And we can go further and simplify it even more by saying how much? What is 4 tenths? 2/5. Nice. And 40% is the same as 0.40. Okay, our last question before we get ready for quiz, Miss Kat. Identify. So here we've got 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Identify 2 different fractions and their equivalent decimals that could be placed on the number line in section A. So here where section A is between 60 and 70, identify 2 decimals and then write them as fractions and as decimals. Let's see what you've got. Let's see your ideas. Guys, 70 means nothing. Is 70 a percentage? Is it 70 over 100? 70 can't stand on its own in this context, okay? So you have to give a proper answer. 70%, yeah, and then what is 70% as a fraction? Is 70 over 100, or 7 tenths. And as a decimal, 70%. No one's given me the decimal yet. 0.7, nice. Another option, we've done 70% now. Let's do something else. What else can fall between 60 and 80? Many numbers between 60 and 80. Why have we got stuck on 70? So many more. I'm going to take Leandra's 58%, just because, oh no, 58 is not between 60 and 80. 50 does not fall between 60 and 80, guys. Read the question. I'm looking for someone to give me something that's not like random. Like 70, let's see. 63, Dora Jane. I'm going to take your 63. And what is 63 as a fraction? Oh, better scroll along. 63 hundredths. And what is it as a decimal? 0.63. Okay. Well done, everyone. That is it. I'm going to put 2 questions up that you can take a screenshot of. We're not going to do them in class now, but you can take a screenshot and try them at home to see how well you've understood. There you go. And that's all from my side today. Miss Kat is going to post the quiz link, and you can go off and do the quiz, and then we'll see you here again on Monday. Well done, and enjoy the weekend. Good luck with your writing test.
All the best,
Okay.
everyone.
I'll take 2 or 3 more questions. Waratwa, you can unmute. Guys, you must just put your questions in the chat. I see there's about 7 of you with hands up. Just post it in the chat, because then Miss Kat can also see and help, and you can get your question answered. Waratwa, you have your hand up, so
Hi, ma'am.
hi.
So,
Yes.
ma'am, I don't know how to simplify, ma'am.
Simplifying is just dividing, basically. So if you have, let's take something like, let's not do that, let's go 25 hundredths. Now you look for the biggest number, or you think of the biggest number, you don't look for it. You think of the biggest number that can go into 25 and into 100. Which number is that?
50.
50 can't go into 25. We look for the number that can go into 25 and into 100. So what numbers can you think of that can go into 25?
15.
No, 15 can't divide into 25. Orwetu is helping you. He's saying 5, okay. But 5 is not the biggest number that can go into 25. Is there another number? What can we say? Leandra is also helping. She's saying 25. 25 goes into 25. How many times? What's 25 divided by 25?
1.
That's 1. But this is a fraction. It's a number. So if I'm dividing the numerator by something, I must divide the denominator by that same number. So 25 divided by 25 is 1. And then 100 divided by 25 is how much?
Okay.
Apile is also helping you, and that's 4. So 25 can go into 100 4 times. So that's a quarter. Let's take something smaller. 3/12. What can go into 3 that can also go into 12?
1.
Yeah, what other numbers? What goes into 3 that also goes into 12?
Ma'am. 3.
3 goes into itself once. How many times does 3 go into 12?
Ma'am, 3. 4 times.
4 times. So that's a quarter. So now we've simplified 3/12 to a quarter. Let's try one more. 4/8. What can go into 4? What's the biggest number that can go into 4?
4.
4. So 4 goes into itself once. How many times does 4 go into 8?
Twice.
So 4/8, we simplify to a half. Okay, you see how it works?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Right. Unite, I've given you a chance today already to ask a question. So I'm going to go to Lizwin Dlamini.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi there.
Hi, ma'am. I was asking, you see our mental test, ma'am? Our second mental test, ma'am, the number line. It was kind of confusing me, ma'am.
Which one? The one we did today with arranging the numbers?
The one like, it was 0.9, and then there was nothing, and then it was 0.75, ma'am.
This one. Was it this one? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So 0.9, that you must write as a fraction. So 0.9 is 9/10.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that part?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so where's the confusion?
I don't understand, like, how do we get, I thought we need like have a pattern like 0.9 and it's,
Oh no. Now each of these are different.
I understand now.